I'm very blunt about it, but like, I don't let anybody be a leader inside of my organization if you're a fat pile of shit.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Because you can't take care of yourself. Why the fuck would anybody follow you? And why would a client want to work with you if you don't care enough about you to take care of you? Why would you take care of them?
Yeah.
I just want to take a second to thank SMA Support Services for being a sponsor of Be Authentic or Get the Fuck Out. We could not do this without you, and we appreciate everything that you do. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Be Authentic or Get the Fuck Out. I'm your host, Eric Obremt. We are here at RoofCon, I don't know, fucking 87 or something. It's like, is it 7? I think it's 7. So we're filming here. This is actually going to be, I think, the last event that we film at. We're going to only do a few episodes here, but I have made the decision that if you want to be on this show, you come to my studio. However, we are going to get some great interviews here at this event, but we're going to be interviewing a gentleman by the name of Cody Klein. And I've written a little introduction here, Cody.
Let's hear it.
And we'll see if any of it's wrong. You can adjust. No, you can tell me I'm wrong. But Cody Klein is the founder of CommercialRoofer.com, a training and advisory platform dedicated to helping commercial roofing companies win larger projects and build recurring revenue through proven sales systems, service programs, and business operating systems. An Air Force veteran and former roofing company owner who exited as part of a multi-company roll-up. I'm excited to hear about that.
Yep.
Cody now focuses on growing a portfolio of roofing businesses across the country known as Rainforce Partners. Oof. Recognized as Roofing Contractor Magazine's Commercial Roofing Young Gun in 2022. He has spoken at events hosted by Acquisition.com, well, that's a big deal, ServiceCon, D2DCon, and Scalability.com. Outside of businesses, Cody's appetite for challenge has taken him to Mount Everest, across a glacier in Iceland, and rim to rim across the Grand Canyon in under 24 hours. That's fucking crazy. He and his wife, Brittany, are raising 3 kids and building a life centered on faith, family, and elevating leadership in commercial roofing. Cody, welcome to the fucking show.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah.
And out of all those things you said, it's the kids that are the hardest part of all.
That's the hardest one. How many kids do you have?
3.
Yeah, 3 kids.
I'll tell you, actually, prior to my marriage, I've been dating my wife since we were high school sweethearts.
Okay.
And we were dating earlier in our relationship, and I had a brother that went through some hardships, and he lost his children, so we adopted them. So we actually have 2 children that are not ours, and then so we did teenagers first, and then went back and had our own kids afterwards. So
wait a minute, hold on, your brother what?
Hey, he had some hardships.
But then you took his kids.
Yeah, he lost his kids. We took them over.
Wow.
23, 24 years old, and then
how old were you?
I was 24. My wife was 23.
Oh my God! And then you took teenagers.
15 and 6, or 14 and 15 years old.
Whoa.
Yeah, bro.
That's a learning curve.
Yeah, bro. We went in reverse. So we did teenagers first, and then we got the teenagers out of the house, and we were like, all right, let's start our own family. So
how old's your youngest then?
My youngest is 3 years old.
3.
So, yep.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. You found. Yeah. Okay. You're living it now.
Yeah.
3 and 4 was my favorite. Like 3, 4, 5 was my favorite age.
I've got a 3-year-old, a 6-year-old, and an 8-year-old, and like it's the best.
Best.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, it's the best. Mine's 10 and a half, and now she's starting to get opinions.
Yeah.
Which I'm not a fan of.
Yeah.
I liked it when she just loved me and like believed everything that I said, and everything that I said was right. I miss that.
Yeah.
I miss that.
I've got a couple more years.
Yeah, you do. You got a couple more years. Tell me, I got a whole list of fucking questions and all that kind of shit. And I don't know if you've ever watched this show before, but I generally go down rabbit holes and tangents and whatever. So like,
that's great.
If there's something you want to do, like bring it back and that's fine. But I want to hear about this Mount Everest deal. Yep. I know you've talked about it a lot, but like, I want to learn more about this event and kind of what it did for you.
Yeah, of course. So, got out of the military, went into roofing as a sales rep, as an installer, then a sales rep, and then of course, like every other sales rep, I'm like, oh, I could do this better. Started my own roofing company. In 2019, 2020, we were approached by a company that was going across the country. It was like the first wave of private equity that kind of came through. And
That was what year?
that was 2020.
2020.
Yeah, so end of 2019, 2020. And they were acquiring a large company in Indianapolis, big powerhouse residential company, that we were doing all of their commercial installs. We were doing their copper work, their sheet metal work, and like their single ply.
Right.
Because they were a powerhouse residential company. They were getting swallowed up by this big fish, and they were like, hey, would you be interested in this as well? So right time, right place. I was not the ideal avatar. We were doing under $5 million a year at that time. And it ended up shaking out. And so deal went through. I went to work for those guys for 6 to 8 months, and it was the typical corporate bullshit that you would expect from normal traditional PE,
Right.
private equity. And knew
Do
nothing.
you regret that?
No, only because I'm like where I'm at now, because how
Right.
things fell. But could the deal have been sweeter? Absolutely.
Right.
I was so mesmerized by the idea of going through an acquisition that I was like, hey, I'm gonna let some of these red flags and some of this shit that
Right.
I knew wasn't right, and like that I'm like, okay, we're gonna let that fly, because I was so
What's an example of a red flag that you saw?
the deal in itself. Like we took primarily units, or like we rolled over most of our equity into the company.
Oh.
So we only walked away with a few $100,000 in cash,
Oh.
which really mostly came from our operational accounts. But the rest of our valuation came in shares that are never going to come to fruition, because the company has now closed its doors, 3 years later.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, bro. So that was the first deal, and that's not necessarily, doesn't have to be a deal breaker. It's just you need to understand, how are those units or those shares going to come to fruition? How is that going to turn into real money for me down the road? And I didn't ask those types of questions. I was like, hey, these guys know what they're doing. I took for granted that they were.
And it was early when, like you said, when people started doing this. So like there wasn't a whole lot of education out there about it.
Not at all.
Right?
No. And no, well, like none. And I didn't do much due diligence on it. It's like I would hear something and I might YouTube it or Google it or whatever, but it's like I'm like, these guys seem awesome. Like they've done this before. The company that bought us out, the originators of it, the CEO has since passed away. He was like 90 years old. But he was one of the original guys in the trash roll-up back in the 80s. So he was part of the waste management roll-up. So like, he had credibility.
Wasn't the waste management guy the same guy that did the SRS roll up?
There was a conglomerate of guys, so maybe.
You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
My guy was John Lorenz.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know who did the
I think
SRS.
it's some Brian guy or
Okay.
something. Sorry.
Nonetheless, so anyways, I went to work for those guys for, I was in Indianapolis. I packed up, moved my family to Austin, Texas, worked for them. I took over a branch that went from 6 million to 18 million the next year, and in the year that I transitioned over there. But we had a hellacious storm that hit Austin. So those guys that are from the Texas market, you might remember Austin got smashed. Round Rock got smashed in 2021.
Yep.
And so we rode that wave, and then I was like, you know what? I'm over it. I'm gonna go to. My brother was going to climb Everest, and or to trek Everest, which is there is a difference. Having the whether you're going to summit or not, and so we had no intentions. The intentions to summit or not, because the time of the year that we went, which was September, we had no intentions of summiting. So we did 80, whatever it is. The trek was like 80 miles to climb to base camp, and then once you hit base camp, there's actually 4 base camps up to the summit. And we got to base camp 1. We did the next stage, which is Kalapatar, and then I got sick. I actually got medically evacuated. I got helicoptered off of Everest after like 12 days.
Really?
I did. And but the reason for that was I needed to get some space. I needed to figure out, like, okay, I know I don't want to be here. I'm the furthest thing from, I'm not the pristine, clean-cut corporate guy that, they were looking for.
Yeah.
And I couldn't operate within a box. Or I didn't want to operate within a box, I should say.
Yeah.
And so I did Everest as like an escape mechanism to figure out like what was next for me. And
it worked.
I mean, it's working.
It's working.
I think.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing progression, I'd say. But yeah, so at Everest, on my way there, I was searching domains on GoDaddy because I own like 500, whatever. I own hundreds of domains because I have 1,000 ideas a day.
Yeah.
But I was searching for commercialroofing.com. I think Hunter had actually just acquired roofing.com. Not too much before that.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I saw Hormozy bought acquisition.com.
Yep.
So it was like, what can I get? What can I get my hands on? So I bought commercialroofer.com, and then I bought residentialroofer.com, which is a whole other story. But yeah, that was kind of the beginning of starting to work. I was already helping buddies build metal roofing divisions and helping them with their sales teams. I was like, maybe I could formalize this to eventually be able to. I was under a non-compete at that time from the acquisition.
Yeah.
But I was like, what a way to be able to get in with roofing companies all across the country to eventually be able to acquire them or work with them in some other way. And so that was where commercialroofer.com was born, and the idea was born to like become a funnel for me to have deal flow, for opportunities into roofing companies.
Oh, so that was kind of the original intent?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was, obviously it was to help and train and teach and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But there was a backdoor idea behind it of like bring in these good companies so that now there might be opportunities to put together.
Yes.
Or was that later?
It was the dream.
It was. Okay.
Yeah,
so it was the intention from the beginning.
It was.
Okay.
I just didn't know what the path was going to be to get there.
Do you tell people that when they sign up?
No.
Okay.
Did I tell you?
No.
Yeah.
No.
No. Well, because it doesn't shake out that way. It doesn't. Not every company is going to be a great fit for acquisition.
Correct.
We've had 200. I'd be lying if I tried to nail down an exact number, but somewhere between 220 and 250 companies come through the Commercial Roofer University. And there's probably, we'll call it 10% of those companies that are like ripe for acquisition.
Yeah.
That are there. They would be a good partner.
Yeah.
So
have you already started? You've started that process with what was the name of the
Rainforce Holdings, Rainforce Partners.
Okay, and so you've already started acquiring?
We're in the process. I had a meeting this morning. We did everything but ink the contract. So
good.
We have 5 companies in the hopper right now.
Okay.
And company in Houston, Colorado, Wisconsin, Chicago, and Indianapolis.
Cool. Good for you. Yeah. And what's your role going to be?
We're going to play operator. So,
okay.
Yeah, we want to run the operating system for them and basically ensure that they're running the weekly meetings how they should be, ensuring that the scorecards are in alignment with whatever the long-term goals of the company are.
Right.
Running the monthly business reviews, and then doing in-person quarterlies to make sure that, hey, wherever we're taking this company long-term, 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, are we on the right trajectory quarter by quarter, essentially? Yeah.
From all the businesses that you have kind of dug into and had conversations with, and people that have come through, what do you see as like the biggest, or maybe not even biggest, but most common mistake or thing that they need to fix to get on the right track?
Themselves.
I like that answer. Yeah, it's a good fucking answer.
There's a lot of things in business that can be done lackluster if you are showing up for yourself every day. But to be honest, some of the guys, like the 5 core companies that we're talking to right now, like about building the founders table essentially of Rainforce, is I just like them as men. They show up as not all of them are fathers, but if they're a dad, they're showing up as a dad. If they're married, they're showing up in a way that's conducive. They're not the guys out here at the strip clubs and the bars and the drinking and doing all of that type of stuff.
Right.
And I think if a lot of times, I don't want to say it's 100% certain, but if those things are in alignment and they know that they want to eventually one day exit the business, it's like, let's do this together. Let's maximize what the return's going to be.
Well, and something that I've talked about a lot, I've talked about in keynotes, is like good people attract good people.
Yeah.
Right. And shitty people attract shitty people. But if you're a shitty person trying to attract good people, right, it's not going to last.
No.
It's not going to last at all. But if we're bringing in those good people and talking about focusing on yourself. That was where I was trying to go there.
Yeah.
Was focusing on yourself, and that the person needs to work on them. I'm very blunt about it, but like, I don't let anybody be a leader inside of my organization if you're a fat pile of shit.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Because you can't take care of yourself. Why the fuck would anybody follow you? And why would a client want to work with you if you don't care enough about you to take care of you? Why would you take care of them?
If you're lazy in that part of your life, how are you not going to show up lazy
100%.
in the other areas?
Yeah. And I think it's I think it's a thing that not enough people talk about personally, right? And maybe they're afraid of being like ridiculed, canceled for saying it, and I just don't give a shit. But but I think it's like, it's a real thing. And then you can attract those people that you want to be able to attract, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's super important.
Well, and that's the idea behind building a strong founders table. It's like,
yes.
A lot of these conversations have said, hey, could I be the platform? And it's like, hey, man, we're all going to be the platform. Like, we're all going to be in alignment. And if this company's not in alignment because they don't want to, follow our structure, our model, which you're familiar with, of, generating opportunities, closing deals, but then wanting to keep people on service agreements. It's like, if they don't vibe with that because maybe whatever their depiction of business, a better business model might be, it's like, that's cool. You're just not a part of our group. Right. Or if you don't want to hold your sales team accountable, or you don't want to track metrics, or you don't want to, operate on a certain CRM, it's cool. Just not with us.
Yeah. And it goes to the question that, like, one of the questions that we ask is, when do you feel most like yourself and when do you feel the opposite, right? And your answer was, when I'm surrounded by people that have high standards.
Yeah.
Right? And it's funny that I thought that was really cool, because we just had our all company meeting a week ago for the new year, just to set, whatever. And our word for the year is standards.
No shit.
And our word for the year is standards. And I came up with a standards sheet of the things that are standards, not an option, right? This is
to work here.
This is what we fucking do if you work here. And everybody gets, I tell everybody, like, you are all allowed to make mistakes. I expect you to make mistakes. I want you to make mistakes so that we can learn from said mistakes. You get to make the same mistake twice. That's it. If you make the same mistake 3 times, you don't work here anymore.
It's no longer a mistake. That's
correct.
A choice.
Because then you're either ignorant, retarded, or you're doing it on purpose.
Yeah, of course.
Right? So fuck you, you're out. But and then what I did was I made just the standard sheet, these like 10 or 15 things, and I listed them out with a fucking check mark, and everybody has to sign an initial by every single one, so that when it happens, you cannot say that I did not set this expectation with you.
Dude.
You cannot say that I didn't have that conversation.
I love that so much. So this is super relevant for me. This morning we had a meeting with one of those companies that's going to be one of the founders at the founders table. And we were talking about his people. Well, we were trying to understand, like, what are the processes they're running currently? Who's doing what, essentially, and then what are they tracking performance-wise? And he's like, man, I have really good people. They're just they don't always do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, they either don't know what to do, so you're not telling them what to do. They don't know how to do it, so you're telling them to do this thing that they've never been trained to do, or they don't have a skill set to do. They don't know, they know, maybe they know what they should do and they know how they should do it, but they don't know that Eric's expectation is that he wants it done by Friday. So they know what to do, they know how to do it, but they don't know when to do it. And if they do know those 3 things, they know what to do, how to do it, and they know when it's done. The 4th piece is that they just don't give a fuck.
Right.
And they're choosing not to do it. And that's the only one that's not okay. It's like, if the other 3 is on me as a leader, the last one's on you. And like, you're making that decision, so you got to go.
Yeah. Well, there's a whole chapter in my book that's called, that's about doing what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
And that's one of the only that's the highest standard inside of being my friend and working for me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you're a man or a woman, but if you're a man and you don't do what you say you're going to do, stay away. Like, that is the defining characteristic of somebody that I want in my sphere.
Yeah.
That's it.
I get it. And that's why I answered that. I think that's when I was going through and typing
Yeah.
the answers out a few days ago, it was like that was the first thing that came to mind for me.
Yep.
It's like I feel good. I know you do some men's trips,
Yep.
you know, a couple times a year. I've seen you guys went on maybe a scuba trip, and you went to Egypt, right?
Yep.
And I have the same thing, right? I've got some guys that it's actually how I found out about Hunter and like everything that he was doing, just through guys that are doing big shit, right? They have high standards for themselves. And when I'm with those guys and when I go to those events, and that is the reason that I go to those events, because I feel good from it. And it's not just feel good. I walk away like reinvigorated with a plan and like reset because, I mean, I'm human. So like I have a plan, I get busy in the minutia of the day to day, and I might falter away from something, but it's all about recalibrating and getting back to doing what you say you're going to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Not just what you tell other people, but I also think that goes for yourself. Like
100%.
you know what I mean? Like
Yes.
showing up for yourself. If
Yeah.
you say, hey, this is the year that I'm going to get in shape, or I'm going to do this in my business, or do that for my family.
There's no
same thing.
word that I hate more than try.
Yeah. There's no try. It's like you're going to do it.
Either
or not.
fucking do it or don't.
Yeah, bro.
Right? Like
Agreed.
either do it or don't.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty simple. The other thing I was going to mention that I was very, very adamant about with my team when I was setting these standards is that every standard that I set, and tell me if this resonates with you, but every standard that I set is an effort metric, not a production metric. So, and what I mean by that is I'm not telling you if you don't hit 2 million in sales, we've got a fucking problem.
No, I get it.
Right?
Yeah.
My only thing that I care about is, are you doing the 10 things that I said would get you to that? Because if you are and you didn't get there, then I did something wrong.
Yep.
My team did something wrong in training you, in coaching you, in whatever it was.
It goes back to that diamond, right?
Right.
Did we tell you what to do, when to do, or how to do it, when
Yep.
to do it, or did you make the choice to not do it?
Right. Yeah. So I'm big on effort metrics.
Yep.
I think that's one of the most important things that people can use.
Yeah, it resonates hard.
We kind of talked about this, but we did ask the question, what's something you see differently than most people in the industry? You said most people look outward when something isn't working. I assume the problem. And I think I relate with you with that. And I think
Or
that's
you assume you're the problem, basically.
always.
Yeah.
Always. Right. And it's not always the case.
Yeah.
But we have to,
Yeah.
don't we?
Do we have to? No, but if we want to live by the standard that we're setting for ourselves, which is higher than,
Right.
you know, based on this conversation, is higher than what we see in most people, then yeah, I think we have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing that drives me more crazy though is just than people blaming, and that was what I kind of wanted to get to is
Yeah.
is I can't stand blaming cultures, right?
The market, the economy, the people on my team,
Right.
whatever.
Because
you know?
somebody else is doing it.
Yeah.
Somebody else is winning. Somebody else is making money. Somebody else is selling. Like everybody's not fucking broke.
The biggest two that I hear right now, well, this one is like more of, it's happening in the real world right now. So people are looking at the ICE raids, and they're like,
Yeah.
you know, how am I going to be able to continue producing if I subcontract to these guys?
And
Well,
that's a real fear.
it's a real fear, and it's really happening. But it's like you're going to figure it the fuck out. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't mean like you're going to figure it out. You're
Yeah.
going to find guys that you're going to pay more money or higher resources to people that are legal. And so
Right.
like I not to say that it's not a reason, but it's not an excuse to not be able to hit your goals,
Right.
or to achieve whatever it is that you're after. And another one we hear is like, oh, I literally had this conversation 10 minutes before I walked over here. I was talking to a guy about service agreements. He runs a $30 million commercial roofing business, and he's like $30 million. And he's like, yeah, I just don't think service agreements work in our area, Shreveport, Louisiana. And I'm like, well, they work everywhere else in the country. What's different about Shreveport? Oh, it's just, you know, when I've talked to these people, I'm like, could it be the positioning? I don't know, man. I just don't think they work. Well,
Just says they don't work.
Yeah. Because they don't know how to position them.
Right.
But when I see people coming up with excuses and they're casting the power outside of themselves, right? They're saying, I'm giving all the power to these other things. I'm giving the power to the property managers that don't want to do service agreements, even though like they really have the power to make whatever it is happen. They have the power to figure out how to get crews that aren't going to be deported. They have the power to, sell service agreements if that's their thing, right? I was just trying to think of examples.
Yeah.
But it's like, I think my mute point is essentially that, like, you can blame other people, but if you assume that you're the problem, that's a controllable.
Right, yeah. And to talk about the service agreement thing,
Sure.
because I've done commercial roofing since I was literally 10 years old, right? And we did not have a good book of business with service agreements. For a multitude of reasons. Like, I didn't push hard enough, right? I didn't know how to position them.
They just didn't work in your area.
They just didn't work in my area. And so I would try, for a hot second, and then I'd just kind of let it go, and
Sure.
I'd just try to sell repairs and whatever, right? And I will tell you that one of the biggest things that I got working with your team was learning how to position it better. And now I wish Johnny was here. So the guy that was floating around here, he's actually my commercial BD guy.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So he's the guy. He's the guy going out and selling them, right? And he just got an opportunity with one of the biggest healthcare systems in all of Omaha.
Yeah.
After a storm, swear to God, like, knocked on their fucking door at a hospital, at a fucking hospital.
Yeah.
Right. And they were like, dude, we have like 5 issues right now, and we can't get our guy to come
on in and
back.
look
And
at
they're
it.
like, come in and go back. And we've done 5, deals for them. They've got 5 or 6 like big opportunities for next year, which will be at the top of the list because of this, right?
Yep.
And he was trying to understand, how do I position it? And when I explained to him, the way that I teach it now, so correct me if I'm wrong, this is your fucking wheelhouse,
No,
right? But the way that I teach it now is, I'm like, just keep going after them and selling fast on a do not exceed, right?
Fast on a do not exceed.
So, like, we
You're
can
gonna
get there faster
Yes.
if I have this. If I don't, I'll still get there, but it's going to be slower because I'll have to get the approval.
I think that's on the money. I think that...
What did I miss?
I don't know that you missed anything. I think it's just something I could add to it.
Yeah.
Is that the easiest? I think the industry that has done, obviously, service and recurring services is popular amongst many industries, but the automotive industry has done it the absolute best.
Yeah.
So today, I go buy a brand new truck off the lot. I buy the creme de la creme of warranties. I buy the bumper to bumper warranty because I want to make sure my shit's covered. I pull off the lot, and immediately within 30 to 60 days, I still have to change the oil.
Right.
I have to swap the wiper blades after, the winter time. I have to rotate the tires, and I don't see a roof being any different. So, like, the shingles, the membrane, the panels, the tile, like the actual roofing itself, I think it's going to last 25, 30, 40, 50 years. But the caulkings and the sealants and the flashings and the terminations, all of that stuff is your oil changes, is your tire rotations, it's all of those things. And so I think it's just explaining to the hospital, for instance. It's saying, hey, look, here's a life cycle of a roof.
Right.
On average across all roof systems, we'll call it 25 years, average life cycle. Here's where your roof's at in the life cycle. You've got about 10 years left, and here's what we need to do to bring it back up to speed, right? And from there, you can say, hey, we can extend the life of this roof if we just come out here every year and we do the oil changes, we do the tire rotations, and we swap the wiper blades, we fill the pitch pans, we do the stuff to take care of the minute details, and that's going to cost you $1,500 a year, right? And maybe you make whatever, you send your guys out, it costs you $500, you make $1,000 on
Right.
it. It's like, cool, you're not going to get rich off of that, but you will be the guy that's been on their roof for 3 years, and you'll get to do when they want to re-roof this section, guess what?
You're
Eric's
the guy.
their guy. Yeah.
Yep,
That's
Eric's
the idea.
Yep. No, that analogy is the one that we use, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the one that we use in every single conversation, and it lands.
Yeah. Now, there is a situation, too, and I see this a lot in the multifamily space.
Let's take a second and let me tell you about SMA Support Services. We use SMA Support Services in our company. We have a multitude of virtual assistants that are all managed by people at SMA. They make sure that all your people are on task and doing the work they need to do so that you can be doing the things that are revenue producing for your business. If you don't know about SMA support services and you don't have any virtual assistants inside of your company, you need to check out SMA support services.
I see this a lot in the multifamily space, where think about a multifamily property from a real estate investor's standpoint. A lot of times they're pooling money together, right, in a syndication to buy an apartment complex. Their job is to squeeze every penny out of that apartment complex to return the money to the investors. So they might not want to spend $1,500 a year with you to be proactive. They might want to be reactive. So we talk about it as there's preventative maintenance agreements, which are the proactive, but then there's also reactive service agreements, which we call master service agreements.
So that's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Because we've had way better success selling those.
It's an easy sale.
That's a way easier sale, and you're on the roof all the time.
Yeah, so the master service agreements, where we're reactive, it's exactly what you said. We'll be out here quickly. We'll give you potentially, discounts on the work. You get 10% off of all the service tickets that we do, or all the repair quotes that we do. And what was the other thing you said?
Do not exceed.
Do not exceed. Yeah. So we'll call you if it's going to be more than $1,500 or
Right.
$2,000 or whatever their do not exceed is.
Right.
Yep.
That for us, that's been the biggest.
Yep.
That's been the biggest win, is just to go. You tell me what it is.
Yes.
Right? Like, I'm not going to tell you. Like, it could be 5,000, 10,000, 20. I don't know what it is for you, but when do you start feeling uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And this is how we charge. So you know that we're not making shit up. Like, this is how we charge for it, so that it's transparent.
Sometimes it's outlined in their bylaws too. So like
Right.
if there's an HOA or there's a if they're a REIT, like a real estate trust, it might be outlined in their documentation. It's like, hey, the on-site property manager has up to $2,500, and then your bills come in at $2,400 every time, you know, or whatever.
Yep.
So yeah, and that's my reason to circle back to 5 minutes ago when I was like, there's no excuse not to sell service agreements, because it does nothing but adds to the business. There's no excuse, because there's a way you can give it away. Like, you can give it away for free, and then you just get paid on a reactive basis.
100%.
Or you can sell it.
Or you can sell it.
Yeah, or you can sell it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me, just to switch gears a little bit from the business side.
Sure.
I'd love to know, just because I don't know Cody that well, is there anything that you're involved in, whether it's like nonprofit wise or anything that like you're passionate about giving back and helping and anything like that?
My wife and I do a lot of stuff personally for like people in the community, but I wouldn't say nonprofit or anything like that. There's one of my first businesses. So right out of high school, I started a company called Inspire the Movement, INSPYRE. And so there's a non-for-profit called Stop Hunger Now. Okay. Have you ever heard of it? It's like the meal packs. They pack them up. They each one feeds 6 people. Okay. So we were an event and a clothing, basically a streetwear brand, but we also did events. So we would do these huge events. We closed down downtown Indianapolis. We hosted a band called the Dirty Heads, Panic at the Disco, just some mainstream popular bands. Music that was on the radio in 2010. And so we brought those bands in. We closed down the main street in Indianapolis. We did July, on the 4th of July, it was a huge deal. I don't know, thousands of people. And we did that with a few other companies. And I got in with all of these non-for-profits, and I actually saw a really dark side to non-for-profits, which really rubbed me the wrong way. I'm sure they're not all that, I'm sure there's good and bad, just there is good and bad doctors and good and bad roofers and things like that. So I have been repelled from doing a lot of non-for-profit stuff, but we do a lot of things as far as buying Christmas for families, and we have neighbors. We're building something called Camp Commercial Roofer out in Indiana right now. And so we bought 54 acres on a lake with hiking trails, and we built a headquarters building with a gym and sauna and cold plunge and all the pickleball courts and stuff like that. And in doing that, we're out in rural Indiana. We're 40 minutes west of the airport, and out there it's there's either really rich people that have these like ranches and like, you know, kind of building what we're building, you know, like very wealthy people out there, or there's like the poorest of poor. And so we've like went around and like helped the neighbors, the guys that are living in trailers and things like that, and like paid for one guy's heat, you know, and it's like just like what good can we do for people that that we have like an arm's reach connection to.
Yep.
You know?
Yep,
So
that are close to you.
That's how I see it.
Nope, I love that.
Yeah.
One other thing that I skipped past that I wanted to dig into, just because this is something that's very personal to me, just as far as like my past and my history, was something that you had said that I've learned that your past doesn't define you, but your interpretation of it does.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. What did you mean by that?
Say it one more time for me.
I learned that your past doesn't define you, but your interpretation of it does. And you were talking about a less than desirable childhood.
Yeah,
But what's your story behind that? Because obviously I've got a story about that. You know?
I think we all do. And so
I've met some boring motherfuckers that don't.
Yeah.
But go on.
Yeah.
I just don't align with those people.
Of course. Yeah. So growing up, I just had brothers that were in and out of prison. I had one brother that was locked up for bringing drugs back across, driving U-Hauls back and forth across the border.
Oh, shit.
I had another brother that went to prison for murder, and you know, basically just, you know, parents split up, normal stuff, like mom doing things. Like I don't have a relationship with my mother, and my father just had his own hardships. He's trying to we're trying to rekindle that deal now. But normal stuff that, or what I would consider is like, a lot of people go through that type of stuff, right? A lot of people.
Most people don't go across brothers going to prison for murder and fucking running drugs across the border.
Yeah.
That's not normal. That's an awesome fucking story, though. Like, I love hearing those stories.
Yeah. And, you know.
But you were the good kid?
I was not the good kid.
Okay,
so,
I want to hear how Cody was the bad kid.
Yeah, so, and it wasn't that I wouldn't say like I was a bad kid. I played sports and like I had good friends. I went to school, like I graduated high school and went to the military, but I had a lot of freedom. So like when my parents split up, I was telling this story last night, I was the 14-year-old kid that like my dad would disappear for weeks at a time with like, you know, he was a newly single guy. And so like he had these young girlfriends and he would like literally disappear for like weeks at a time.
Oh, wow.
And so like I had a house to myself.
And you were how old?
14.
Oh, fuck.
And so I literally drove myself to like, I drove myself to driver's ed. Like I would just, you know, it got to the point where like I would go to school when I wanted to, but like I was like, I did just enough to like kind of get by.
Yeah.
And so like all of those things. And so we have brothers and sisters that also experience that same upbringing. And I do have some brothers and sisters. I have a very large family.
I was going to say, it sounds like you got a bunch of them, don't you?
Oh, they're all over the place.
Okay.
But I've got brothers and sisters that are the same way as me. They look at the past and they say, no chance in hell am I going to let that be my life. Am I going to continue living in and around this type of stuff? And then I have the other side. I have some siblings where it's like, hey, you know, this is the hand that mom and dad dealt me. Fuck them. You know, I can't believe that.
Right.
You know, they put me through this, or they did these things to me, or you know that mom does this, or she's that type of person. And it's like, we both had the same experience. So back to what I said,
yep.
You can let your past define you, or you can say, hey, mom and dad are that way, but maybe it's because, you know, they didn't have the resources and the tools, and you can forgive and say, I'm going to be different because of that. And
right.
so it's same situation, different outcomes, different choices to be made to get the outcomes you're looking for.
Did going into the military help you get that
Oh, dude,
framework?
It was the greatest thing I've ever done. I hated it while I was there because I went from being 14, running the streets. I was the party house all through high school, doing whatever I wanted, you know, having friends and girlfriends and all of the things, you know, as a young teenage boy. I got most of these tattoos in my kitchen from like a neighbor that did tattoos, you know. It was
really?
Like that. Yeah, dude. It was just like I look back and I'm like, it was just like the wildest, you know, thing. And so when I went to the military and I was in the Air Force, so it was only 8 weeks of boot camp, but I was like, what the fuck did I sign up for? And I thought about leaving, you know.
Sure.
I was even in boot camp though, like I saw the old version of me. Like I stole my cell phone, I snuck into my drill sergeant's office and stole my cell phone so I could talk to my wife, you know, like my wife now, but like my girlfriend. Like I was like, there was no one could tell me what to do. It was like, hey, who the fuck are they're gonna take my phone? And like, we were limited on the food we could eat, right? You eat when they say get up and it's time to go. So I would like steal peanut butter packets, right? And then like I would go flush them down the toilet, you know, to hide the contraband.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I saw those patterns coming up, but it was a slow progression to realizing that the world doesn't revolve around me, and that like sometimes discipline and having some bumper rails, some guardrails is actually good for the long-term trajectory.
And it's the old. I don't know who said it first or whatever, but it's the whole premise of shit doesn't happen to you; it happens for you.
Yeah. It's the mirror and the mountain. You know, it's like last night we were having a conversation around the table, my team and I, and guys were talking about like, well, I just went through a tough season. I lost a brother, actually. The last 3 months of 2025, I lost a dog that I had for 10 years, which is like, okay, you know, it's probably expected. My father had a stroke, and then I lost one of my brothers. He passed away. And so, but it's like, what is the universe, you know, it's like, what is God? What is the universe trying to show me? What do I need to learn from this? That's the mirror. And then what mountain's ahead? What is the mountain I have to climb next, you know?
I like that.
And so sometimes it's, you know, building big shit in business, and other times it's like building reframes in your mind to how you see the world. And so
Yeah. I think that's, and if anybody gets anything out of this, I think it's that. It's the reframe.
Yeah.
You know, like that whatever situation, position that you're put in, like you can always reframe it. You can always look at it from a different lens to figure out, how can I turn it into something good?
Yeah.
Right? Because every shit opportunity is an opportunity. I mean, who makes the most money? The motherfuckers that buy when the market's down, right? Like when the housing market's down, the guys that are buying everything up, those are guys getting rich. And that's just an example, right? But it's the same framework. When shit's down or you're running into a problem, are you figuring out how to use it as an opportunity or not?
There is an upside somewhere.
The hard part's finding it sometimes, but...
You know, earlier I was talking about the men, how you have a group of men that you kind of lean into, and I've got the same over on my end. And one of the best frameworks that those guys have taught me is walking the block. And so what that means is, like, they call it stacking. And I don't know where the term stacking actually came from, but essentially what it means is, like, when something happens, like it could be as small as like you get into an argument with your wife, or a disagreement with your wife. And it's like, I'm going to go walk the block mentally in my head to look at this situation from all angles. So like, I'm going to walk the block so I can see it from this side. Okay, is everything she's saying true? Okay, is there a chance that I could be wrong? You know, and like, you just continue on around that path, trying to ask yourself, like, is there any possibility that like my perspective skewed on this? And most times it's like, oh, I see where they're coming from.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that's the best frame of like what you said, like there's always an upside, or there's always another side to the story. I had a coach
for 5 years. I had the same like life coach, business coach guy for 5 years. His name was Clay Moffitt. And he would have me do a meditation exercise of the same thing, where, and I led a group. I went to a thing that Sam Taggart was doing, and I was speaking, and I led the group in this exercise. And you close your eyes and you put yourself in this position, right? And say I'm sitting here, I'm talking to you. And so whatever the problem is, you got to take the problem.
Okay.
And then you see it from your side, right? Your anger, your irritation, your whatever it is that you're sitting in, right? And then you have to like go out of your body.
Okay.
And you go into the other person's body. And then you start seeing the problem from their perspective, just to understand it. You sit in it, and then you come out of that body and you go up into the sky
to see it from above,
and you look down at both parties as a third party individual that knows nothing about either person, and then listen to the situation and exactly what's happening.
Wow.
And judge it from that angle, and then come back into your body to understand all three perspectives.
Same idea, I think.
Right. Yeah. Just a cool meditate, you know.
That's great.
Like, it's super powerful though. Like, when you do it and even if you're by yourself or whatever it is, like with your eyes closed and like really, it's a neat.
I'm going to use that. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, it's cool. It's fun. So I have no idea if you've ever seen an episode of this, but at the end of every episode, I acknowledge the guest in saying, I know that I am not the best interviewer in the world, and sometimes we go down rabbit holes, or I forget to either finish a thought that we had or something that you wanted to bring to the audience that I forgot to bring up. So I always give the floor back to the guest at the end to either wrap something up that I stepped on, or to say, you didn't even fucking talk about this, and I wanted to make sure that your audience got this. So floor is yours for that. I want to thank our sponsor, Alivo. We actually use Alivo inside of my roofing company to help us streamline communications, automate follow-up, and help us focus on the things that really matter. If you're running a company and you want to leverage AI without the complexity, check out Alivo. It's practical, powerful, and it works.
I was trying to decide whether I go personal or business, but I think on the business side, do you have a lot of roofers that follow this?
Yeah.
Mostly? It probably works for any business, but the framework that we have internalized at Commercial Roofer and now obviously Rainforest Holdings or rainforestpartners.com is that in any business, it feels like we're out of momentum. We always go through the same pattern of trying to fix things, and it's always looking at the front end. How is the machine of bringing new customers and bringing money in working? So we look at the processes, the playbooks, the people, and the scorecards essentially for the marketing and sales. And once we have money, like that may take 30 days to fix, or it may take 6 months to fix. And when we fix the front end of a business, we then say, with this newfound money that's coming in, how do we call it the cash flow waterfall? How do we make sure that the money is allocated to the proper places in the business? The only vendor that you have that could ever really shut your business down or stop you is the IRS. So it's like we always allocate money to taxes first. And then we say, okay, we know that in order to acquire clients, it costs us this amount of money, and our overhead is this percentage of revenue, and the rest might look like our distributions. But what are we doing with this business over the next few months or years? Where do we want to grow? And then we allocate from the distributions a fund to grow the business. And then what's left over is our distribution. And once we have the front end of the business working, and then we allocate where the money needs to go to continue growing the business, the next thing we look at is what we call the operating system of the business. And that is the systems, which is what you do, how you do it, and who does it. And then you want to be able to measure those things, which is the second piece of the last piece of the puzzle. And it's, what are the scorecards you're looking at, and are they giving you the data you need? And then having a weekly, monthly, and quarterly pulse to make sure you're checking on those scorecards and make sure you're headed in the right direction.
Yep.
And if anyone's business is struggling, that's been like instrumental in all of the businesses that is the exact process we utilize inside of my business, and it's also what we are planning to do with all of these companies that we buy. So I don't know, hopefully that's helpful.
That's great.
Yeah.
And I will tell everybody, I don't recommend very many people for shit. I really did like your program.
Thank you.
I don't like most.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't.
Fair.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, obviously I have been doing this for a really long time. So there was a lot of it that I was kind of like, yeah, I do that. I get that. I get that. But again, like just like 2-3 little things that I was able to take from it were hugely beneficial for me and my team.
Was it mostly the positioning of the service?
That was the big thing, was the positioning of it. Like
that's what it mostly is for everybody.
Yeah, that was the thing that I took the most from. But what I want to say is, like, again, I don't recommend people very often. I literally, because I have people that call me that want to just do private coaching for stuff, right? And I only take a couple clients a month because, like, I'm running a fucking business and I'm doing this, and I don't
got a hell of a platform.
and I don't have time for that. But if I like you, and you want to put in a little bit of time, like I'll sit down and have, private, but I have no desire to build out a system, right? Like you have built out. Like I'll sit down and go, okay, what are your pain points? Like, let's do a one-on-one call. Yeah, let's figure it out and I'll help you solve it, right? Like I'm good at that. And I had a guy call me the other day. He saw me on something and he was like, I'd like to work with you. He's like, do you have a program? Do you have this? And I'm like, nope. I'm like, this is what I do. If you want to solve these problems and you want to sit down and have the conversations about it, that's going to work. I said, but if you don't want that and you just want something you can go watch videos and then have your group call and do all that kind of stuff, I'm like, this is who you call. And that was you.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Thanks,
and
really
that was you.
that,
and so like, because I get those calls because everybody knows I do commercial roofing and, I wrote the book about it and all that shit and I hand that out. But that being said, I just wanted you to know that like I do believe in what you do. I think that you do a really good job at it, and I want everybody to know that. I wouldn't have had you here on the show if I didn't think that you did do a good job at it. And so congratulations on that,
dude.
right? Like because it is a big deal. Because I know as hard as I work at everything that I do, you don't always get the good feedback. You might from your clients once in a while, right? But like you don't get it from the outside, and the thank yous and the all that kind of shit, right? You do if somebody goes and sells some $1 million job, right?
Yeah.
And
we had a guy come the other day. He's like, hey, we sold a service agreement. They have X amount of properties for it was $160,000 a year, and I'm like, cool. He's like, we actually inked it 4 months ago. I'm like, you don't think I want to fucking know that,
right?
Like, could you not have told me? Like, is that not a big deal? That's a huge deal for me.
Huge deal.
So yes, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I say that because you're right. I don't always see the wins, and just to hear you say that, especially with someone of your stature and the status that you have, the platform that you have, and what you've actually built as like actually building a real roofing company, not just talking about it. Means a lot. So
appreciate it. Cody, thank you for being here. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you to our sponsor, SMA Support Services. If you don't have VAs, well, you're kind of fucking stupid. So you definitely want to reach out to SMA Support Services to go put a VA staff in place. If you don't know how to use VAs and you're scared of that, watch our lives every other week, F&S Words with myself and Adam Patterson, and we teach you how to fucking use VAs, or just call me and I'll tell you how to do it. But thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to everybody for tuning in and listening. Subscribe, click all the fucking buttons that everybody tells you to do, or don't. I don't really fucking care. But I'm really glad that you tuned in today. Cody, thank you for being here. And remember, everybody, at the end of the day, all you really have to do to win is be authentic, or get the fuck out.
Get the fuck down if you can't be authentic.